color.
Hey mate, having some trouble?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the color turned on here. Color. Color. Color!
Hey, mind if I give it a go?
Knock yourself out, mate.
Color!
Color! Color! Color! Oh, I had no idea that could do that. Wow. Far out.
Like, what happened?
You know? I didn't, yeah. Wow. Anyway, yeah, color. Yeah, sometimes color can have unexpected consequences, which makes a lot of us kind of revert to picking kind of safer options, which is understandable. I mean, hey, if you didn't study art or design or don't really have kind of a strong grasp of color, then yeah, you're gonna kind of play it safe, go with more neutral tones and stick with things that you know, or just go with a simpler look, and that's cool. I mean, you can use the color wheel, like, but like, what does this mean? Like, I think a lot of people don't really understand even knowing that this exists. Like, how do I make use of it and, you know, what to do? So this client was in a similar situation. So she had kind of a dark and dreary restaurant bar and had just spent some money putting in a really kind of cool hand-painted mural on one wall that had a lot of color and a lot of personality and really kind of drove a stake in the ground on what she wanted the bar and restaurant to kind of be all about. But the walls clearly didn't match up with that vision. So she hired me to kind of help her understand, you know, what she could do from a color perspective and how to bring kind of her vision for the restaurant and bar to life, using the mural as that point of inspiration.
Mate, I'm feeling a breeze on my chin. Weird. So weird.
I know, mate, I just can't even, like, concentrate, I feel like. Ready? Let's go!
Let go, nah, 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 nah.
Barzar. So a cool, like, lounge slash restaurant slash bar located in St. Kilda, very well known area along the beach in Melbourne, down on the East Coast, about maybe a block away from Ackland Street, which is a pretty well known street at the end of number 92 tram, which, you know, the street holds a lot of restaurants and shops and bars and stuff, and can get pretty rowdy at night, but kind of a fun place to go day or night, just kind of hang out and see things. Luna Park is right there, so you can go on a little roller coaster or, you know, hang out and have some fun, or just kind of laze on the beach and hang out and watch the world go by. So pretty cool area of town. Barzar itself, so again, so with the mural, you can see the rest of the restaurant and bar area is fairly dark and a little dingy, so a color like this can be a good choice to go with a more neutral look, but in the case of this, it just made it seem more like a cave with how the restaurant was kind of designed on this corner, or corner-ish corner, slight angled corner, and the way the restaurant was designed was you walk into the main dining area and then the bar kind of cut the restaurant in two, where on the other side of the bar was kind of a back bar area with more booths and then another little back bar. So what I wanted to do with color was to be able to define these spaces and to kind of simplify the design of the overall restaurant. Because currently there was just different use of kind of carpentry and creative different ways, like along the front main bar, along the pass, kind of walking through to the back bar area, and it made just the whole experience a bit clunky and made the restaurant therein seem a bit heavy and a bit complex. So by cleaning some of that joinery up, as well as giving each space its own distinct kind of color, we could simplify the environment and just make it a lot more welcoming and kind of pull people through the space with color. Sounds like fun, huh? Yeah. All right, let's go. I'm feeling like super inspired by this mustache that I can like be an even, you know, more entertaining host for you. Are you feeling it yet? So the client's kind of vision for the space was like a global lounge. They offered different menu items to kind of reflect that. And they were also right across the street from a theater, so they would get kind of a theater crowd, and they want to get filled up and maybe a little boozed up before they go. Understandable. So, you know, they wanted to have some place that was kind of warm and welcoming, didn't seem like a grungy bar, but actually a place that was warm and welcoming and had like a cool like restaurant vibe. And with Eklund Street down the corner, I mean, if you've been here, you know, it's pretty eclectic, I'd say. So you have permission to kind of be a bit bold and be a bit different. And, you know, I think doing something that is a bit bohemian and a bit kind of hippie would fit in perfectly. And I was always trying to think of like that girl in the mural, like who is she? And like where did she come from? And what is she like? And what is she interested in? Like, I feel like, you know, the mural looks like it's a bit kind of hippy dippy, right? Like it's a bit hippie, a bit smoke a doobie in the afternoon while watching the sunset.
Yes, mate, I like this. I like this. Yes.
Yeah, I figured, you know, you might be able to, yeah. Anyway, but no, in all seriousness, a bit boho bohemian. And I think, you know, knee-jerk reaction, like there are some easy ways you could like kind of just say, let's just do this and like make it into this thing with all these kind of grass things and bring in a lot of white and like fake plants and, you know, all this stuff. But, you know, that's been done. Like, and I think with a name like Barzar, like that's just such a cool name. Like, I just think it's like a neat, cool name. The first thing I wanted to do was confirm that style, which I kind of summed it up as like eclectic bohemian.
Yes, mate, yes. I like this.
So using things that seem a bit hippie, but then also bringing in some more kind of modern touches, as well as just like a really colorful palette. Yeah, knee-jerk reaction, like I said before, you know, you could use lights like this, but, you know, everybody's kind of doing that now, and it's become a bit expected and also maybe a bit cliche. Like, and with a name like Barzar, like you wouldn't really see those lights at Barzo. So I think, let's go black. You know, because they come in black, or they come in, you know, lights like this do come in black. And I think it provides that kind of cool edge. And then I also wanted to go to the market. So I did go to like the Fran market, just like this cool market. I mean, for me, it's a bit overpriced. Like, honestly, like I just think that it's like a bit proud of itself. You can find some good pieces in there. And I found several different ones that I thought could, you know, because if you're doing this kind of eclectic bohemian thing, it would be good to like bring some kitsch into the environment. So not too much to kind of make it overwhelming or hoarder-ish. Just to have a little fun, you know, and bring some cool things in to make it kind of different and neat. Neat. So I found this chandelier, which she was like, oh yeah, that's cool. So she went and bought that. And in my first iteration, I thought, you know, let's just pitch red. Backing up. First meeting, creative exploration, which is no holds barred, just like, I'm just gonna go in and try and read their mind and just kind of show them a lot of stuff that I think might work in order to just get a lot of reactions, because by them reacting to something, then that gives me a lot of ideas and thoughts and like direction. Because if I just go in and ask a lot of questions, then they'll just tell me a lot of words, and then I'm like translating those words into something else that they're like, no, that's not what I was thinking. So by going in with a lot of thoughts, then more likely than not, I'm gonna get a lot of good direction, whether they're like, I really hate all of this, and this is why. I mean, at least when they tell me why, I can like go back and like do something good. But yeah, so the first direction, I was really kind of hip on using a red to define that bar area and really kind of clean up the joinery around the bar, make it red, and then for the main area, pulling out that kind of gold leaf, gold bar gold, or goldenrod to really kind of brighten up the space. And then for the back bar, going a bit more moody with like this kind of dark tealy blue color. And then also, when you think about color, I think it's easy just to think about, let's go paint. And you go to Bunnings or Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever if you live in the US, and you pick up some paint and you just paint a big wall, and so this is my focal wall. It's gonna be amazing. And then all the other walls I'm gonna leave white. But yeah, so I think it's good to think about the entire space. So when you kind of do a 360, you're inspired everywhere you look, but not necessarily overwhelmed. And I think with commercial and with especially a bar like bars are, like you have permission to go a bit nuts and to be a bit crazy, because this is somebody's escape. Like somebody comes here often to like have a coffee and hang out, have a beer and stuff, and they want to get away from like the humdrum of life, right? Including their kind of beige apartment or gray apartment. So I wanted to bring in two different things. So one, some wallpaper. I know we've talked about wallpaper before. Don't want to frighten anybody. I'm sure a lot of people just like turn me off, and that's fine. Anyway, wallpaper as well as some new upholstery for the banquette seating, and using that in a couple ways. So with the back bar, I wanted to create just a really colorful backdrop that would pick up on different colors that I was using throughout the scheme. So bring in some kind of bold patterns that would tie in with that vibe, and also just create a very distinct look that would help her stick out from other bars and things down the road. But then for this kind of weird dividing space, I did want to use this wall to create a visual bookend. So using that black and white wallpaper, and then also pairing that with red houndstooth. So I'm using kind of a pattern that has a similar kind of shapes and lines, or similar kind of use of negative space, but then using it in a different color. So again, it's like pattern, but then it's solid colors. So I'm helping the wall kind of bounce around. Pattern, solid color. I know, right? I mean, what's wrong with me today? I have no idea. So by using a black and white wallpaper, especially if you are using like bold color and then bold color, it's good to like bring in some black and white to like rest the eye, so the eye's not going bonkers and doesn't know where to go, because that's just it. Like you're using color to guide the eye through the space. So if you think about it in that way, then that could help you. Anyway, she loved it. She was like, oh, I think this is really good. Let me just talk to my husband, and I think this would be great. And then amazing, like I'm really excited. And I was like, oh, so this is cool. So I left thinking, oh, I just nailed that one. But then she called me later and she was like, actually, you know, we've done red in the past. And I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So we'd rather not do red again. And also we are wanting to open for breakfast. So, and I was like, oh, okay, well that changes things, because I think when you're opening for breakfast, I think you want to have a palette that can be a bit fresher and a bit kind of lighter as well. So something that can translate across all day parts. It's kind of one of my favorite like ex-retail design firm words, day parts. So after speaking with her, she had some like a green in mind. She was like, what about green, or can we use other things instead of the red? Like I like the yellow, but I'm not sure about the red, and you know, help me think through this. So I wanted to kind of cut her off at the pass, show her through illustration why things don't work, but then why others do. And so a bit of a kind of lesson in color theory almost. But at least this way I'm educating my client, I'm helping her understand why things won't work, and that way she'll be all the more confident in, yes, this was the color, and that was the one. And I know, because God helped me understand that. Yeah, with that initial direction, I knew, okay, she wants something bold, but something not so bar-ish, and something not so dark. You know, something that was a bit more femme, a bit more kind of open and inviting. So one was just going a step deeper from a goldenrod into like a hot ginger. I mean, it sounds like these names, who comes up with these color names? But you can absolutely see it, right? Hot ginger, like that's what I would see. So like this kind of burnt caramel. That's another burnt caramel as an option. The next one, just carrying the navy into the bar as well, which would be dark, but perhaps that could be an option. And if you look at these options, like some are a bit too chroma, and when I say chroma, like they're full on color, like they don't have any tone in them. And when I say tone, I mean gray. Like when you add gray, it softens the color. Whereas if it's full chroma, it's like, and it could be like a kindergarten, right? And you don't necessarily want that. And you could see how some of these things just don't work. Like this flower color is way too bright. It's just way too bright. It's terrible. It's just, that's awful. Like, I just don't even want to look at that.
Whoa! Oh yeah.
But again, I'm saying just so that her brain doesn't go, oh, well, maybe we could do like, no, you can't. But then showing her how just toning down the red into a hot chili compared to hot ginger, hot chili, maybe they're cousins, I don't know. But a hot chili, you can see how those kind of all work together, and it automatically like brightens it up a bit and makes it like, oh wow, this isn't so edgy anymore. It's all of a sudden, it's kind of like, I feel like I'm in the Southwest of the United States, like hanging out in Santa Fe. And then showing her how green would work, which I wasn't a fan of. Like, I think it could have been fine, but it just seemed a bit too, no, not really that keen on it. But then getting into this kind of turquoise color, which I think was definitely the one. It's brighter. It's definitely would work for breakfast and a day part. It's absolutely, you know, unique and something different, and it would pair really nicely between both the dark navy kind of teal color in the back and then also the gold foil in the front, which she really loved and wound up going with. I had a couple options, and you can see, you know, it's always good to test color, because I think you could see a color, especially if you're looking on a screen. Do not go by what's on a screen, because color comes through screens in different ways than it does in the physical world. So it's good to just test a range of colors. If you're thinking, oh, it's this one, just go around and just pick, you know, 2 or 3 different options, and then go and paint on different walls and see what it looks like in your actual space, and you might be surprised. So, and with the lighting, using a variety of different pendants for different areas. So along the bar, using this kind of cool grassy one, and then using the same design, only a bigger one for the back bar booths in a different color. So going natural there to pair with the wallpaper better. And then also for the other areas, using like these bigger roundish ones. So they all kind of look like cousins and they relate, but it's not the same thing that you're doing everywhere. I'm also getting rid of that old movie theater light, or not movie theater light, stage lighting, and subbing that in with just some cool kind of downlights or even like a track light, so that creates kind of more of a modern vibe. So again, we're not going full on hippie, but having a nice balance of, this is a cool place, it's very professional, and it's very kind of clean and looks good. Layout wise, I wanted to keep it pretty similar. However, with kind of that main dining area, it felt, I kind of call it like cafeteria style. You know, when you walk into a restaurant, it's just like a sea of tables and chairs. That can make for a fine layout, like that's cool. It depends on kind of how you dress it up and how you kind of decorate it or whatever. But in this case, I wanted to, since it was a lounge as well, they were defining themselves as a lounge. So when you think of lounge, you don't think of like cafeteria, right? Or that style. You think maybe there's a sofa, or maybe there's like some armchairs, or so I wanted to give everybody a good seat. So we already have the banquette, which is always kind of like, okay, we want to sit in the booth or whatever, and that's cool. But I wanted to absolutely bring in the sofa and make it work with the kind of table height, but then also maybe perhaps a big round table as well for a group. And then yes, some kind of armchairs or something to provide some interest. She was interested in perhaps having some armchairs along kind of the opening for the window, so I kind of showed her how that potentially wouldn't work, but then helped her understand how she could maximize bums and seats, which is what you want to do when you have a restaurant, while also giving a lot of different seating options for guests. But yeah, they've been a bit delayed getting things all wrapped up, but you can see they have put in kind of the paint and the paper. I'm loving how the paint and the wallpaper is really making a bold statement. However, they're not quite done implementing some changes, but looking forward to seeing, you know, what becomes of the space. And stay tuned, perhaps I'll have a wrap-up video of this case study coming out sometime in the future. Otherwise, stay tuned for other things we have coming up down the road, and we'll see you later. Bye. Oh my god, can I finally shave? No, mate, no, don't shave it, don't shave it. Oh, maybe just the handles, just the handles.
Yes, I like this.